Football has changed dramatically from one era to another. What we see on the pitch today is the result of a long evolution in which the game has transformed not only in the way it is played, but also in the way footballers are trained, developed, and used on the pitch. Over the years, the pace of the game, tactics, physical preparation, positions, and the roles of players have all changed. Football in the past was more open in terms of space, and individual talent often had a decisive impact on the outcome of a match. Today, however, almost every movement is analyzed, every space is carefully controlled, and players are expected to be prepared technically, physically, and tactically. But despite all these changes, one thing has remained the same. Every era has had its own players who left their mark on the game and represented the style of football of their generation better than anyone else. From Pelé and Maradona to Zidane and Ronaldo Nazário, and later to the historic rivalry between Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, every generation has had its own protagonists, players who not only dominated their era, but also helped define the way football was played. To understand the era of Pelé, we first have to understand how football was played at the time. Compared to the modern game, football was more open, less tactically structured, and allowed players much more freedom to express their individual talent. There were larger spaces on the pitch, while defensive systems were not as organized or compact as they are today. As a result, individual ability often played a much greater role in deciding matches. And this is where Pelé stood above the rest. He represented the idea of the complete forward, a player who had everything. He possessed exceptional technique, remarkable speed, physical strength, intelligence, and an incredible instinct for scoring goals. Pelé could create chances, assist his teammates, dribble past defenders, and finish attacks himself. But perhaps the most remarkable thing about Pelé was that he did not simply fit into the football of his era. He seemed to be ahead of it. While many players represented the football of their time, Pelé helped shape what football could become. His combination of technique, athleticism, creativity, and goal-scoring ability made him one of the first true global superstars of the sport. After the era of Pelé, football entered a period in which the game became more physical, intense, and aggressive. Defenders were tougher, and individual battles became a much more important part of the game. During this era, creative players did not have the same level of protection that we see in modern football. The number 10 had an extremely important role in creating and organizing attacks. He was the player expected to receive the ball, create opportunities, find space, and provide solutions even in the most difficult situations. And in this era, one name stood above the rest: Diego Armando Maradona. Maradona was the absolute master of individual brilliance. With his exceptional technique, incredible ball control, dribbling ability, and creativity, he was capable of changing the course of a match almost by himself. He did not need much space to make a difference. One touch, one dribble, or one individual move could completely change the game. Maradona was the perfect example of the classic number 10, the creative leader who took responsibility and had the ability to turn a major match into an individual masterpiece. This was the period when football began to become more athletic and more tactical. The game was evolving, defensive systems were becoming more organized, and physical preparation was becoming increasingly important. At the same time, individual quality was still crucial, and two players perfectly represented this transition: Zinedine Zidane and Ronaldo Nazário. Zidane represented elegance, control, and intelligence. His ability to control the tempo, find space, and make the right decision under pressure made him one of the most complete midfielders of his generation. He did not need speed to dominate a game. His technique and understanding of football allowed him to control the game in his own way. Ronaldo Nazário, on the other hand, represented speed, power, and explosiveness. He was one of the first forwards to combine extraordinary athletic ability with elite technical quality. His acceleration, strength, dribbling, and finishing made him almost impossible to stop when he had space to attack. During this era, a striker was no longer expected simply to score goals. He also had to create a physical advantage over the defender, using speed, strength, movement, and explosiveness to create opportunities. Zidane and Ronaldo represented two different sides of the same evolution: the intelligence and elegance of the playmaker and the power and explosiveness of the modern striker.
This should be the longest chapter of our journey, because it is the era that most football fans around the world have experienced firsthand. This was the period when football changed dramatically. The game became faster, more intense, and much more tactical. High pressing became one of the defining characteristics of modern football, while defensive systems became far more organized and compact. Physical intensity also reached a new level. Players were expected to cover more ground, press constantly, and maintain a high level of performance throughout the entire match. At the same time, statistical analysis and modern technology became an essential part of football. Every movement, pass, shot, sprint, and position on the pitch could be analyzed. Positioning became more important than ever. Players had to understand not only where the ball was, but also where they needed to be before the ball even arrived. And in attack, the role of the forward evolved dramatically. Strikers and attacking players were no longer expected simply to score goals. They had to create chances, participate in the build-up, press defenders, and contribute to the overall structure of the team. And above all, this era belonged to two extraordinary players, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Messi became the symbol of extraordinary technical ability. His dribbling, close control, vision, passing, creativity, and ability to create chances made him one of the most complete attacking players football had ever seen. He could score, assist, create opportunities, and change the game with a single movement. Cristiano Ronaldo, meanwhile, represented the physical evolution of the modern footballer. His speed, strength, explosiveness, aerial ability, positioning, and finishing transformed him into one of the most complete goal scorers in football history.